Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cohn Zone Tuesday. This is the Cohn Zone. Grant Cohn, Lowell Cohn. My dad is in a different part of the Cohn Zone today, but it's still the Cohn Zone. How are you?
Well, let me explain where I'm at. This is the room that Iggy grew up in. When he was little, he was upstairs, but
Right.
this is where he was a teenager and all that. And I'm having work done in my office, so I thought it'd be awkward for me to be broadcasting with three guys hammering and stuff. So can I show you? Well, that's that. You know what? I wanted to show, if I could, over my head. Those are superheroes.
Yes.
Superheroes. And on the other wall is the Wizard of Oz somewhere. Oh, well, forget it. I'm an idiot. So that's where I am today.
Okay, so we have a lot to cover today. We're going to do a full preview of the Week 2 game against the Eagles, and we're going to start by talking about the bet. But first, there's breaking news. We haven't talked about this. This just came out a couple of minutes ago. Raheem Mostert posted it himself. 8 minutes ago, he posted, "Faithful. After consulting with multiple doctors and weighing my options, I will be having season-ending surgery to repair my knee. This gives me, without a doubt in my mind, the best possibility at coming back 110%. I have always come back stronger, and I will this time too. I have faith in myself, my doctors, my support system, my team, and God. He makes no mistakes. I'm gutted. This sucks. This is obviously not what I worked so hard for. I wish more than anything I could be out there on the field with my brothers. Thank you for your support in our decision. I'm far from done. Mostert's out for the season. What do you think?"
Well, first of all, I feel sorry for him.
Yes.
He's really tried hard, and I know that you think he's a good guy.
I do.
So I do feel sorry for him. I also know that this is what happens in football, and I do believe that the 49ers can perform really well without him.
Right.
That he is great, but not absolutely essential.
Right.
How do you feel?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like from a human standpoint, it sucks, but it's not tragic. This is what happens when you want to be a professional football player. It happens to everyone eventually, and it sucks. He's a 30-year-old running back. This was bound to happen. And really the good news for the 49ers is this is their deepest, strongest position. They'll be okay.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Again, my heart goes out to him, and I'm sure Kyle Shanahan's heart goes out to him, but he's not thinking about that, his feelings right now. He's thinking about, who do I got? That's how it is.
And Mostert certainly was their best. I loved watching him run, but the guy that they had played, that they basically started last week, Elijah Mitchell, looked good too.
Yeah. So I think this is sad news on a personal level, but not tragic news for the team.
So, no, they have other injuries that should affect them more.
And we'll get to that later.
Okay, but before we do, we need to settle some business. You won a very large bet at my expense. Let's talk about it. Why? First of all, everyone knows we bet on who was going to start week 1. And Jimmy Garoppolo started. You won the bet. It's a very nice bottle of wine that I'm going to bring over. I haven't bought it yet, but when I do, we'll take a picture, we'll drink it together, and we'll post it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But you never wavered. You were extremely confident the entire time. Why did you take this bet?
I think part of it, we all know that Iggy is more intelligent than I am, and he is. I love that he is, but I have more experience, and I know that this is a very conservative league.
Yes.
It's very conservative, and to make a change at quarterback is really, really a big deal. Look, Bill Walsh had Joe Montana, but he still started Steve DeBerg. I mean, that was an important template for me, that you don't make the move willy-nilly. Plus, if he started Trey Lance and Trey Lance was no good, I'm saying if Kyle did, then he goes back to Jimmy, but he's lost Jimmy. He's lost him because he took the job away from him. It was not the savvy move to make. And I just felt, I don't know Kyle Shanahan, but I know his dad, and I know his dad is probably was thinking along those lines. So that's why I did it.
Yeah. Kyle's old school. Him and his dad are in lockstep. They run offense like it's 1995, and they run their team like it's 1995. That's a really good point. It's a really good point. I should have thought of that. But anyway, I'm honored and pleased to buy a nice bottle of wine with you, and you earned it. I'm really happy that I can do that.
We had another bet.
Oh yeah, Cracker Jacks too. I got to go find some Cracker Jacks. That shouldn't be hard to find.
I got to say, it all happened pretty quick. Was Bosa in on the first defensive play?
Yes, he was.
Okay,
absolutely.
So equally important, you owe me a box of Cracker Jacks. Now, why did I think Bosa would be in on the first defensive play? Here's why. I know you made a very interesting point about the Bosa's are in business for themselves.
Mhm.
But I think part of being in business for yourself is you got to please your team and you
Yep.
got to please your teammates. And if Bosa didn't play, because he seemed okay in
Yeah.
training camp, I mean, he didn't do anything, but he
Yeah.
seemed to be able to move. And we all saw that
Mhm.
this would be such a slap in the face to Warner, to
Yeah.
all of those guys. And I didn't think that they could go that far. So again, I took the conservative approach. And, my mentality, my whole emotional life is actually very conservative,
Mm.
family oriented. I believe in tradition, all of that stuff. And I think it works a lot in the NFL.
Fair. It's a very conservative league. I want to promise one thing to our viewers. The next time my dad and I bet something, I'm going to win. I promise you. I'm not going to go. This is not going to become a losing streak. I play to win as well. You got me, Dad. But I'm coming back hard next time.
And you'll learn from this.
I learned from it. That's the most important thing. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about week 2 because enough with week 1. It's over.
Yeah. I'd like to do I'm going to have questions for Iggy and he's going to answer because he is really quite an expert. The first game is over with. They beat Detroit. And whatever you have to say, it was a close game that you didn't expect. It's history. As I've said, every game in the NFL is a separate universe. We're moving up to the next universe. They're playing Philly. What happened with Detroit no longer matters, except, of course, the injuries matter. But that's something different. So I when I looked at the schedule, I thought, the Niners are going to kick the crap out of Detroit and they're going to kick the crap out of Philly. Well, they didn't kick the crap out of Detroit. It was closer than they thought. And Philly kicked the crap out of Atlanta.
Yes.
Atlanta, that's Brooklyn. So I'm not so sure. I mean, I do believe the Niners will beat these guys, but I'm not sure it's going to be a walkover if Detroit wasn't. So I have some questions for the expert. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is a primer on the Eagles and what may happen in this game. Iggy, tell us about their coach. Who's their coach and what do you know about him?
Okay. Their coach is a 38-year-old guy named Nick Sirianni. He was the offensive coordinator the last 3 years for the Indianapolis Colts. Who were a playoff team. He worked with Phillip Rivers there last year. Before there, he was with the Chargers working with Phillip Rivers. So he's been a quarterback coach. He's been an offensive coordinator. And I guess he was coveted. He got a head coaching job before he turned 40, although that's the new trend. So he's an offensive guy, and their offense in this game, week 1, they have this running quarterback, Jalen Hurts, who a lot of people don't know what to think of, but he threw the ball 35 times and completed 27 of the passes. A lot of quick, easy passes, but he was good. So that's who the head coach is. He's an offensive guru, young offensive guru.
Okay, I know in our list we have other questions, but let's go to the defensive coordinator.
Sure.
This is very interesting. Tell who it is.
Oh, I was wrong when we were talking about that. It's not Jim Schwartz. He's gone. That was the guy last year. Now they have a new guy named Jonathan Gannon. He comes from the Colts. He was a cornerback coach. So Nick Sirianni and Gannon are like a package unit. It's like the Eagles were really impressed with what the Colts were doing and brought in that coaching staff. Remember, the Colts head coach, Frank Reich, was with the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl 4 years ago. He went to the Colts, created a coaching staff. They basically brought his coaching staff in. So they're bringing back what they had when they won the Super Bowl. This guy was really good with the cornerbacks they had there. And week 1, he's never called a play before, never been a coordinator before. He held Atlanta and Matt Ryan to 6 points and made Matt Ryan look awful. I think he threw for 140 yards. And Matt Ryan's a lot better than Jimmy Garoppolo. So, I mean, he's only been a coordinator for 1 game, but he has a very good track record as a position coach, and his debut was phenomenal.
Very interesting. Iggy, I would like to disagree with you that you say Matt Ryan is better than Garoppolo. I think Matt Ryan is a loser.
Okay.
I think he's a loser. He's a what Bill Walsh would call a moving platform. He can't move. I'm not saying Jimmy can that well. I just, it doesn't surprise me that people can make Matt Ryan look bad because he's bad.
Fair enough.
Okay. Moving on.
I'm just saying if he can do it to Matt Ryan, he might be able to do it to Jimmy Garoppolo too.
Yes, that's the more important point than me fetching at you.
Yeah.
It's a more important point. He might be able to.
He might. Yeah.
And in that case, you may have to bring in the rookie.
You might, absolutely. This might be a game where you actually need Trey Lance to play as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Eagles quarterback and how he became the Eagles quarterback.
Okay, so he was a second-round pick last year. Apparently, he was someone that the general manager really liked, the head coach didn't. They had Carson Wentz. The team was kind of split behind which quarterback should play. Hurts came in and played well, but was really raw. He's a good runner. He played at Alabama and Oklahoma, which are two really big programs in college football. He's very experienced, but people always question his accuracy. Anyway, now he's got a coach who's really created an entire offense that suits his skill set. They run him, they get him out of the pocket, he throws on the run, and he was 27 to 35. He ran for about 80 yards. He looked really good in this game. Now, Atlanta has a terrible defense. The Niners should be able to do a better job, but the Niners gave up 33 points to Detroit, so I'm not really sure where the Niners defense stands right now with DeMeco Ryans. They don't have Robert Saleh anymore, and DeMeco didn't make a single adjustment in that game. So this quarterback, he's young and he's not great from the pocket, but he looked pretty good in this game. And he's the exact kind of quarterback that gives the Niners problems because Eric Armstead, they can't keep quarterbacks in the pocket, Dad. And he's ready to get outside the pocket and hurt you.
Iggy, you said that DeMeco Ryans didn't make any adjustments. Is that in fact true?
That's what I saw. I mean, you saw it in the second quarter. The Lions were running the ball between the tackles really effectively. And it was like the same play over and over again. He didn't change his defensive front. The guys he had couldn't stop it. Maybe with Javon Kinlaw on the field, they could have stopped it. But his backups couldn't do it. And that's really a function of the wide nine. It's not good against the run. And he stuck with the wide nine. And if the game had been closer, they would have continued to give up a lot of yards between the tackles.
And you feel that Robert Saleh would have made adjustments. It's what
Absolutely.
he did.
No question about it. There's no question he would have. The Robert Saleh is really good, and I'm not saying. I mean, he's really good. I don't know about DeMeco.
I have a question about Hurts.
Yes.
I didn't look at his passer rating, but I did see Lamar Jackson play last night. And again, I don't like him as a throwing quarterback, even if his numbers are okay. Jackson, I just don't like him. Is this kid a better passer than the one that the Ravens have?
No, not necessarily, but his quarterback rating was 126 in this game. And the difference is what I saw with Lamar Jackson last night is what the Niners eventually did with Colin Kaepernick. Remember that last year with Jim Harbaugh? They changed the offense and were like, well, he needs to be a pocket passer now. Remember we called it the dead locust offense. Remember they went to Arizona and they kept him in the pocket and lost him. Like, what the hell was he does? They don't let him run anymore. That's what I saw with the Ravens last night. It's like, oh, you want him to be something more? Well, good luck with that because he's not a pocket quarterback.
Not and never will be.
He's not. But what you can use quarterbacks a different way, especially if you're not concerned about them getting hurt because you're not invested that much in them. And what I like about what they're doing with Hurts is he's running all the time. They're using his legs all the time. And they're paying him probably like $1 million this year. Go run and run a lot. And that's what gives the Niners defense big problems.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Tell me about their running backs, Philly.
Miles Sanders. He's a former second-round pick. He's really talented. He's really good. He's really athletic. He's a more talented running back than anyone the Niners have. And when you pair him with Jalen Hurts, there's a lot of, there's two guys you have to worry about, and they both can run. So this is a team that should have success running the ball against the 49ers. They should, because the Niners struggled defending the run against the Lions. And now this team has a good running back, a quarterback who can run, and a terrific center, Jason Kelce, who the Lions had a terrific center too. It's part of the reason that they could run between the tackles so well. They were moving defensive tackles out of the way. So I think this running back, Miles Sanders, and the way that they have supported him, he could have a really good game against the Niners.
Very interesting. I'm moving on.
Okay.
Wide receivers and tight ends on the Eagles.
Okay, the tight ends, they got Zach Ertz.
Oh, Stanford.
His yards Hurts. He went to Monta Vista out in Danville. He's a little old at this point, but he's been in the league a long time. He can catch the ball. He's not fast. They also have a tight end named Dallas Goedert who's better than him and pretty good. Then they have two wide receivers that they've drafted in the first round the last 2 years. This year they drafted Devontae Smith, who won the Heisman last year. He's a hell of a player and already had a big game week 1. Last year's first-round pick, Jalen Reagor, not as good, but very fast. They have pretty good skill position players. This is a team that won the Super Bowl 4 years ago. It's just no one knows who the hell their coach is, And no one knows what to make of this Jalen Hurts kid, but he was phenomenal week 1 going against a terrible defense. We'll see. I don't know what to make of the Niners defense right now. So they do have a very talented team, Philly.
And what you're saying is they have a talented offense against a question mark. You're not saying the Niners defense is no good.
No, I'm not saying that.
Question mark.
It is. They have a great edge rush. They have the best middle linebacker in football. They have good safeties. What's up with their run defense between the tackles, and what's up with their corners? They have some glaring weaknesses right now. And what are they going to do? What is D'Amico going to do here?
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the Eagles defense?
Okay. It has a very good pass rush. They have Fletcher Cox, who has been one of the best defensive tackles in the league for a long time. And on the edge, they have Derek Barnett, first-round pick, Brandon Graham, hell of a player. So they really have a good pass rush. And Mike McGlinchey better be ready. They better run the ball a lot because they ruined Mike McGlinchey. Remember this? They played the Niners last year. At Levi's, Jimmy Garoppolo didn't play. A lot of the backups were in, but they ruined Mike McGlinchey in that game. So the Niners have to be very careful about when and how they pass because this team will hit. They'll beat Mike McGlinchey and they'll hit Jimmy Garoppolo.
So they're going to aim at McGlinchey.
Oh my God, they did that last year. They know what they're doing. And so what else do they have? They have an excellent cornerback in Darius Slay that they traded for or signed in free agency. They pay him a lot of money. They have a good free safety, Anthony Harris. They have linebackers I've never heard of. They held a good Falcons offense to 6 points. I don't know about their run defense though, Dad. That's the thing. It seems like new age defensive coordinators are all about defending the pass. It's great. But the Niners are a run first team. And this team gave up 4.8 yards per carry week 1. It didn't matter. But if they don't, I mean, even good run defenses struggle against the 49ers running attack. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think I'm not sure that they're really going to be able to stop what Kyle Shanahan wants to do on the ground.
You know, we criticize Kyle Shanahan, I think, fairly sometimes, but what a running attack. It's everything you want.
It's so good. And it's like he can win games consistently with just that. And a quarterback that he doesn't even seem to trust. It's not many guys can do that in the NFL.
I agree.
Good for him. Good for him.
Okay. Tell me in general what Philly does well and what Philly doesn't do well as a team.
Okay. Now it's a little tough because they're a bit of new coaches and a new quarterback, but it's still a lot of veteran guys that were on this team when they won the Super Bowl a few years ago. So I think it's fair to say that they have a good running game. They have a quarterback who can run. They have a terrifically talented running back and some veteran offensive linemen that have been on the team a long time. So they should be able to run the ball and at least test the 49ers' weakness that they showed week 1 between the tackles, running the ball. And then on defense, defending the pass. They have a pass rush, and they have a coordinator who is a former DB coach who's had tremendous success coaching up DBs and just shut down a passing game with quarterback who's been around forever, and he's got some weapons too. So they do a very good job against the pass, and they do a very good job running on offense.
What does Philly not do well?
What does Philly not do well? Well, I don't know how they're going to do defending the run. And then you really wonder what is their passing game going to look like against a competent defense? Because sure, Jalen Hurts was 27-35 against the Falcons, but if you can contain him in the pocket and make him execute as a quarterback against a good defense, what is he going to do with that? I don't think you would expect much from him. But I'm not sure the Niners can do that. I mean, the Niners should win this game, but I don't know how their defense is going to play. They don't do a good job of containing quarterbacks in the pocket, and this guy's looking to get out of the pocket. So I'm curious to see if the Niners can really force the Eagles into their weakness, which is drop back passing, of course.
Iggy?
Yes.
Are the Eagles a better team than the Lions?
Yes. I look at the Eagles were awful. Here's the way I look at the Eagles. They won the Super Bowl 4 years ago. But it was weird how they won it because Carson Wentz took them all the way in the regular season, got hurt. Nick Foles came in, won the Super Bowl. And I think what happened was Wentz wasn't tremendously popular in that locker room. Big religious guy, almost like a trying to convert you kind of guy. I think they were split. Some people liked Foles, some people liked Wentz. And then when Foles was gone, they drafted another quarterback and they were still split. I think they were basically a veteran split team. So what did they do? They got rid of Wentz. They got rid of Foles. They got rid of the head coach and brought in a new coaching staff. committed to one quarterback, and you've got a veteran team that's won before, all kind of not split anymore. And it's interesting. The backdrop would be the Niners, because the Niners are kind of flirting with the same thing that was they went to the Super Bowl. They can't decide on a quarterback. They have a veteran team. It's interesting. Anyway, it seems like what's happening with the Eagles, that they're actually still pretty good.
Okay. So definitely better than Detroit.
Definitely better than Detroit.
Which was pretty scrappy and gave the Niners, I don't think the Niners were ever in danger of losing the game, because Detroit could only have tied it. They were never going ahead at the end.
Right.
But they were scrappy and surprisingly competitive.
Right. And one more thing, like, the Eagles have good receivers. I don't know if I made that clear. They have good receivers. Detroit didn't. And, Jared Goff played a pretty good game against the Niners, but I think this style of quarterback, the kind of guy who can run around and make plays outside the pocket, is more dangerous against the Niners than Jared Goff. The guy who's just kind of constantly throwing the short throws and trying to survive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kyle, is he confident? Now, again, you're not with them. They're wherever they are. They're in West Virginia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel he's confident going into this game?
That's a good question. I have a tough sense reading what he's like on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, because it wasn't Bill Walsh kind of lacking confidence early in the week and he would have to build himself up?
Oh, he was neurotic. He was
like, we're going to lose. We're going to freaking lose. We got a problem here. I don't know if Kyle's that way, or if he's looking at this like, no problem. My running game, they can't stop me. They can't stop what I'm going to do. I think he probably feels confident in what he's going to do on offense, but you got to be a little nervous looking at what that Eagles offense just did and what that quarterback looks like. And what your defense just did against the Lions. How confident can you be in D'Amico Ryans right now? How confident? I'm curious.
The fact that you're saying he didn't make adjustments is very, very scary. And Saleh was so good. He not only made adjustments at the half, he made adjustments during play, during the first half. Yeah. He was so quick, Iggy?
Yeah. There's one play, it's called split belly zone. That's the run. And the Niners couldn't stop it. Over and over again. It's just basically one side of the offensive line is kind of blocking down one way, and you bring a tight end across the formation from the back to take the D end, and you're just trying to run between the tackles. And it's a good way to run against the wide nine. The Niners couldn't do anything. We have to, if it keeps working, use another front. Don't do wide nine. Do something else. But you would have had to practice those things, and you would have had to plan and prepare for this. And it doesn't look like the Niners have. I'm just saying, this is what happens when you take now, to be fair, the Eagles have coordinators their defensive coordinator's never been a coordinator before, but maybe he's better. I don't know.
Well, we'll find out. It's a little troubling that he didn't make adjustments.
You would hope that Kyle Shanahan is confident going into this game, though. They're supposed to win. They're only 3-point favorites, which is surprising. They were 9-point favorites last week.
I want to tell you, interesting. 3-point favorites, even on the road.
That's right.
So really, it's like they're a 6-point favorite.
Yes. But last week, it was like bettors didn't give the Lions a chance. Now they're like, this is going to be close. Hold on. No Jason Verrett. No Robert Saleh. I'm not sure that the Niners have a great defense, Dad. I'm not sure that they do.
The reason I asked you if Kyle Shanahan is confident going to this game, when things were getting drastic during the Detroit game, I was watching the game with your brother and your mother. Mm-hmm. And his mother, my wife, is a writer, and she notices things. Mm. And I said, what does Kyle Shanahan look like to you? She said, he looks like he's about to start crying.
Oh, wow.
That's what Mom said.
Yeah.
I said, I can't read into his face. And both Brian, your brother, and your mother said, we can. And she said, he looks like he's about to start crying.
Well, let's stick with this. My mom's right. If she saw it, she's right. We all say, well, I keep saying, you got to play Trey Lance. You got to plan for the future. You got to both try to win and develop for the future at the same time. Well, what if Kyle feels like his job's on the line? What if he's feeling pressure? He really should feel pressure. From his perspective, I may not even be here next year. I have to secure the right to keep coaching this team. And so maybe that's when he looks at almost giving away a game, almost giving away a 24-point lead with 2 minutes left. They were up 24 at the 2-minute warning and almost lost. How can you feel confident about your team?
Or about yourself.
It feels like if a 24-point lead against the Lions isn't safe, what is safe? Yeah, I don't know,
Right.
Dad. I'm not confident going into this game.
And also, from his point of view, whether he admits it or not, you could say, here we go again.
Here we go again.
Here we
Yes.
go again.
Yes.
All right. Next question. I like this. It's a good
I like
format.
this too.
Um,
Everyone who's asking questions, we're gonna get you. Don't worry. We're gonna
well,
get you.
are you in a hurry today?
I'm not in a hurry. Not at all.
I'm not in a hurry. Okay. I skipped a question. The meaning of Philly's week 1 win. Do you think we've handled it?
I think we have. It means that they might be good. They might be good. Yeah.
How will the Verrett loss affect the Niners' ability? Verrett is out for this game. Verrett is out for every game. How will this affect the Niners?
Well, if they have Emmanuel Mosley, they should be able to start Mosley and Lenore and have 2 solid cornerbacks behind a good pass rush, and they should be okay. The problem is, unlike the Lions we mentioned earlier, the Eagles have 2 first-round picks at wide receiver, and they both played well last week, particularly the rookie. The guy just won the Heisman Trophy. He's phenomenal. He's really good. So if, let's say, Mosley can't play either, they don't know. He's got a knee injury, and they're saying they're hopeful, which means they don't know. Now they're down to Lenore, a rookie who's played well so far, 5th-round pick, and Dante Johnson or Josh Norman, who's been on the team a week. To me, if they don't have Verrett or Mosley, they could lose.
Well, they're not going to have Verrett.
Yeah, if they don't have Mosley too, they could lose this game. They could lose this game because the Eagles actually have good wide receivers and a quarterback who's at least hot. So it's a big deal.
And Iggy, this brings us to something we've been talking about. I swear to God, since the draft.
Yes.
Tell them.
They need cornerbacks. They need to draft cornerbacks. I don't understand why the Niners have an organizational philosophy not to draft cornerbacks high. The last time they drafted a cornerback before round 3 was 2004, I think, Shante Spencer. Since then, they haven't drafted a corner before round 3. And it seems to me there's not that many good corners coming out of college. There's not that many good corners in the world. And by the time they're 26, they're already kind of slowing down. So the only chance to get good ones is to draft them high and to draft them every year. If what the Niners do is they're like, we're going to wait till free agency and shop at Goodwill and get guys who've had a ton of injuries who are 28 and hope that we can get them, on the upswing for cheap. That's what and it worked out with Jason Verrett, but then it blew up in their faces.
It worked out until it didn't work out.
Exactly. And they knew that they needed a starting caliber backup and didn't have one.
Well, we give them so much credit for having a deep quarterback room, for having
deep running back room,
improve the offensive line, for having a good defensive line. In a passing league, you need corners. And it strikes me as almost like a mental block that they have. And we're not saying it after the fact. Iggy, we've been saying this since the draft.
And again, it's not just a John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan thing. It's been going on for almost 20 years, and I don't understand how the Niners came to this conclusion, but they definitely have to update their philosophy here. It's a very important position. They're all in on defensive line. But the way I look at it is there's a lot of good defensive linemen in the world. You can draft them, you can sign them, and they're good into their 30s. You can get guys who are on their 3rd team, 31, 32, and are still good. You're trying to get 31 and 32-year-old corners, you're screwed already. So you got to draft them. And high.
And you could say on defense, cliche, if they have an Achilles heel, it's corners.
Absolutely. And so they can win this game without Jason Verrett. They can beat the Eagles without Jason Verrett. Can they beat the Cardinals without Jason Verrett? Because last year they couldn't. Week 1, Jason Verrett was injured. They lost. Week 16, Jason Verrett played, shut down DeAndre Hopkins. They gave up 12 points and won. So can they beat the Seahawks without Jason Verrett? Can they beat the Rams without Jason Verrett? All those teams looked phenomenal week 1. The Niners are all 6 of those divisional games feel like playoff games. And you can't pencil in a win for any of them for the Niners.
Right. Nor in fairness,
nor them.
You can't pencil. Those are really tough games.
Yes.
And again, I think I'm a little more bullish on the Niners than you are. But this thing with cornerbacks is really troubling, and a layperson like me saw it months ago.
Their offense looked phenomenal against the Lions, but their defense is very troubling. They lost Robert Saleh. They don't have Javon Kinlaw. They lost Jason Verrett. What is this defense going to be?
Okay. Next question for the experts. Mostert loss. How will that affect the team? Now, again, we started this. If you came in late, we started the broadcast. Poor Mostert is out for the season, and
Yes.
my heart goes out to him. But we're talking football now. How will this loss affect them?
I mean, I do think it will affect them. When Mostert is healthy and rolling, it's winning is the easiest thing in the world. You just give it to him, and somehow he gets 8 yards a carry. It feels like when he was hot in the NFC Championship game, it was the easiest win of all time. Raheem Mostert, legendary. Without him, they can still run the ball well. It just won't be quite as easy. They're going to need to use Deebo Samuel more. They're going to need to get more running backs involved, other rookies that haven't been. Trey Sermon, who was the 3rd round pick this year, didn't play. He's going to have to play. So it won't be quite as easy, but they should still run. They should still average 5 yards a carry and run for 125 yards at least.
Iggy, on one of your broadcasts, I thought I heard you say that during training camp, Mostert was wearing a brace on his leg.
He was. It was interesting. He was wearing this big brace, and I don't know if I think someone asked him about it on his first press conference of training camp, and he said, "Oh, look, it's just for precaution. I'm fine." And then he went on Instagram and said, "I just want to clear this up right now. People saying I'm injured. I'm not injured. I hate when people lie about me." It's like, no one said that you're injured, man. But he had this very much like methinks thou dost protest too much moment on social media. And then boom, he got hurt on his 2nd carry or something like that of the season. That's what happened.
I like when you bring in Hamlet.
I try. Oh, also what I heard is that, in 2019, he had this phenomenal year, but he never started. And we always were saying, like, why are you not starting Raheem Mostert? Why is Tevin Coleman starting? It doesn't make any sense. Well, what I heard is that he's been nursing a knee thing for a while, and they've been trying to manage it. And he just played so well that they're like, well, I mean, he's so good. He's almost 30. Let's start him. But this has been something that's been going on for a while.
And Iggy, he wore the brace on the knee that got hurt.
I don't know. I believe so, but I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Again, very sad, but absolutely manageable.
Yes.
Although it's interesting, you make Trey Sermon a healthy scratch in the first game. I'm puzzled.
When something like that happens, it makes you think, did he miss curfew? Is there something that happened behind the scenes that we don't know, because it doesn't make any sense at all? Right. 3rd round pick? What? And he was healthy? And it's not like there's this huge separation between general manager and head coach like there was between Balky and Harbaugh, where Balky would take someone and Harbaugh would laugh like, well, he doesn't fit my scheme. You drafted Trey Sermon, Kyle, because he fits your scheme and you picked him. And now you're like, actually, I was wrong. He's no good. Very strange.
Yeah.
Very strange. Very strange.
Kinlaw.
How
does that? Tell what's happening with Kinlaw and what it would mean if he can't play.
Javon Kinlaw has tendonitis in his knee, an arthritic knee. I don't know, a degenerative knee. I don't know what you want to call it, but it was an issue in college. It was an issue at the Senior Bowl. He had to leave early. It was flagged at the combine. It's the main reason that he was available for the 49ers. People think this guy is just a phenomenal athlete. He's 330 pounds. You can't move him, but he can also run around. He's a really good run defender. But he's been hurt since he got drafted, since before he got drafted, still hurt. I don't know when he'll play again. It seems like a 23-year-old, 330-pound man who's had knee tendonitis for 2 years is probably not going to get better. But if they can get any games out of him this year, that'd be great, because he's essential. You don't think of run defenders being essential anymore, but in this wide 9 thing is a gimmick, and it usually fails because it can't stop the run. Those 2 defensive tackles are isolated, and they can get double teamed, both of them, and just pushed around. And Kinlaw's great against double teams. It's not really a skill you draft for in round 1. You draft pass rushers in round 1, but you can't move him. He's freaking huge and very strong and athletic. So with him on the field, they have a good run defense. Without him, you can just part the Red Sea. So if he can't play, the Niners have a big problem. The Eagles could run the ball at will.
Ooh. But if Kinlaw's there, they're formidable.
No question. He's the perfect run defender for their scheme.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you know anything about his status?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think basically he shows up to work that day and they ask him how he feels. They don't know. How's it going, Javon? Can you play? I don't know. We'll see.
Iggy, did he play in the preseason games?
He did. He played against the Raiders, and it got worse. It seems like he plays and it's really painful afterwards, So I don't know what their plan is with him.
Poor guy.
Poor guy.
And again, you would think they would maybe have had a backup for him.
Of course. And, they do. Like, Kentavious Street's pretty good. They signed Zach Kerr, who played well last year, but this wide nine thing is very difficult on defensive tackles. The reason they got rid of DeForest Buckner is that even he wasn't a great run defender in the wide nine because he's 6'8". And when you have two guys blocking you, he's got long legs, he can get moved. You really need two nose tackles in the middle. And Kinlaw's built like one, and they don't have another one who's as good as him. Really tough. So this is the situation that DeMeco Ryans finds himself in right now. It's the same situation that Jim O'Neill had found himself in. He was with Chip Kelly. You want to run a particular scheme. You want to. But then someone gets hurt, and you can't do it anymore. With Jim O'Neill and Chip Kelly, they want to run a 3-4, which is, a nose tackle and two defensive ends. Nose tackle gets hurt, Glenn Dorsey. Now you're going in with a backup nose tackle. If he sucks, well, the middle of the field's wide open, and you can't stop the run between the tackles. You got to change the front. You got to at least force him to run outside because there's, a sideline over there who's an extra defender. If you can't stop the run between the tackles, you're a terrible defense every time. So what are you going to do without Javon Kinlaw? Are you going to keep running the wide nine and get gashed, or are you going to change something? Let's see what you got.
Explain to us what the wide nine is and why the Niners use it.
Okay, so first, Jim O'Neill, this Chip Kelly, worst run defense in franchise history. They give up more than 2,000 yards. Robert Saleh comes in, his first task, fix the run defense. So he brings in this Seattle scheme, which has 8 men in the box, does a great job, fixes it right away. But his pass coverage, defense, pass rush, it all sucks. And he's not doing well. He was on the hot seat after the first 2 years. He brings in this wide nine, which is really to supercharge your pass rush at the expense of your run defense. It works. He pulls it off because he's freaking good. And now he's gone. Javon Kinlaw is injured, and you have someone else who's not as good, and they're struggling against the run, which is what happens. What happens is you just move the defensive ends way out. And it's cool. It puts a lot of pressure on the offense, but on run plays, it isolates the two defensive tackles. They both can get double teamed. And if they're not great players and they're getting moved left and right like they were against the Lions, then Jimmy Ward's making all the tackles in the run plays. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We saw him a lot.
That's not good. Yeah.
On TV.
Right.
The idea is to split the tackles wide so they can attack the quarterback.
Absolutely. Yes. And it's a pass first league. Forget it. We want them to run the ball. And okay, well, if you're going against a team that's not as good as passing and better at running, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. So usually the wide nine doesn't work very long. It worked for the Niners because Robert Saleh's brilliant. Let's see if DeMeco Ryans can make it work too. He may not have the personnel to make it work this year.
And he may not have the savvy to make it work.
Right.
What would be an alternate system on defense that they could go to if the wide nine doesn't work in the first quarter?
They could go back to the stuff they were doing when Robert Saleh first got here, which is 5 guys across the line instead of 4. So instead of having a huge gap between a defensive end and a defensive tackle, you put another defensive end right there, and you have 5 guys in the line. Boom, there you go. There it is. How about that? 5 guys in the line instead of 4.
But that opens up problems for your secondary.
It's like this. Instead of having 4 spread out defensive linemen with 3 linebackers behind them, bring 1 linebacker down, okay, and have 2 linebackers behind him. That's what Vic Fangio did. When Vic Fangio was here, he would have Alden Smith right next to Justin Smith. He'd have a nose tackle. He would have Ray McDonald, and he would have Ahmad Brooks right next to him. 5 on the line, 2 linebackers behind him. It's standard stuff. It's standard stuff. It's actually much more standard than the wide nine. So it's something that the Niners have done before. It should be in their playbook right now. It's an easy adjustment.
Okay. All right. I enjoyed. Thank you for explicating that.
My pleasure.
Okay. We both say the Niners are going to beat the Eagles, or as they say in Philly, because I went to school near Philly, the Eagles.
The Eagles.
The Eagles. I'm an Eagles fan. So, Iggy, final score.
Okay. I'm going to be wishy-washy here because it's Tuesday, and it's a little irresponsible to pick a winner and a score before you know who's playing and who's injured, who's not. But I want to say this. If Javon Kinlaw plays and Emmanuel Moseley plays, I think the Niners should win this one convincingly. I'll say 34-24. I think the Niners can run the ball on anyone, and they should be able to control games with that running. Also, Jimmy Garoppolo played really, really well. If the running game's working his play action passing should be good as well. Debo look 34-24 if those two guys are healthy. If they're not healthy, if Kinlaw doesn't play and they have this issue with the running defense, and if Mosley doesn't play and Dante Johnson has to start, and or Josh Norman, I'm not going to say the Niners are going to lose, but it'll be 34-31. It'll be really close. I don't know about this defense. I think they're going to give up a lot of points this season and in this game.
I think what you should do is reserve the right to give a revised score either Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
When you know more. So what I'm asking you to do is delightfully irresponsible.
So like what Vegas expects is a 3-point victory for the Niners with a combined score of 50 points. So they're thinking like 27-24 in Vegas. They clearly have questions about the Niners defense without Jason Verrett and Javon Kinlaw. Clearly. I think the Niners should be able to score more than 27. I think this run offense is real dominant. So I guess I'm a little more optimistic about the Niners in Vegas. But I think the odds makers are looking at this Niners team thinking, what the hell happened at the end of week 1 and how good are you really?
Right.
Yeah. So 34-24 if the defense is healthy, 34-31 if Kinlaw and Mosley don't go.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
do you think, Wise One?
Those
Who's going to win?
Questions.
Well, who do you think is going to win?
I think the Niners are going to win. I told you I'm bullish on the Niners. I do. I think, in fact, I think they're going to beat up.
Okay.
They're going to beat up Philly. I think.
Okay.
And in fact, until they sort of started taking out their regulars in as we used to say in Brooklyn, in Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit.
They were beating up the Lions. They were beating them up.
Yeah.
They're really tough, and I think they're going to beat up Philly, and I beat them by 10 points.
Yeah. Okay. I think they can win by 10 as well. All right. Let's answer a bunch of questions.
I love it.
All right. Mike says, can you ask Kyle what adjustments he will make when he has a big lead? Lost the lead in both Super Bowls and almost lost last week.
Oy.
I don't think I'm going to ask that question right now because he would just hate me even more. But it does seem like there's something. It's a strange pattern that he has in his resume, and it seems like maybe if his teams follow, I don't know what it is, Dad. I don't know.
Iggy, if it were me, I wouldn't ask that question now for 2 reasons. One, he won the game.
True.
And it's treating him like a loser. And I don't think it's fair. And you have 16 more games. Plus, I don't think you need to get the sour pickle face
every week.
Second week of the season.
Right. Yeah. I got it yesterday on the conference call.
You got the sour
because I told you I was waiting to see how he was going to use Trey Lance so I could ask him, why do you think this is the best way to develop him? You know what he said?
What?
Some playing time is better than no playing time.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Trey Niner says, I watched the Eagles versus Atlanta and Hurts throw 90% outside the hatches, and 95% of the time he's handing it off on the option reads. Eagles run defense is trash, so I see us running for 200 yards win.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Raheem Mostert out for the year. Sorry, Raheem. Nathan says, Raheem just announced he's done for the season-ending surgery. Sorry, Raheem. We'll miss you. All-Pro Greenlaw. He played it. Yeah, he's good. Hold on. We got more. That wasn't a question, though. So I would answer it if it was a question. Eagles has top 5 D-line and 3 receivers that can blow the top off the defense. That's true. They do have a 3rd receiver who's very fast. Styles make fights. If we can't beat Eagles, we won't make playoffs. I'm not sure that's the thing. They won week 1, but then you watched how they couldn't really finish it. And then you looked at the other 3 teams in the NFC West, and you don't want to make too big of an overreaction after week 1, but at least I was thinking, is this a playoff team? I don't know.
I'm saying they're the best team in the NFC West.
Whew.
I am.
I like it.
And I agree. Styles make fights.
Yes.
I do.
And you do have the wisdom. How do you feel about the Cards-Hawks performances? I thought they both looked phenomenal. Russell Wilson looked as good as ever, and Kyler Murray looked just about as good, if not better. Those two guys are great quarterbacks, and I thought the Rams looked great too. Did you watch any of them?
I did. First of all, Matthew Stafford looked pretty good.
Yeah.
He's a better quarterback than Jared Goff.
Yes, he is.
And Russell Wilson, I love to watch him work. I'm in love with his play.
Yes. Did you see Kyler?
No, I didn't.
Something to look forward to.
We were driving back from Nevada City, so I missed
of course
some of that.
Of course. Not sure if it was announced, but Kerryon Johnson just signed to the practice squad. Oh, running back was with Detroit, went to Auburn. Interesting. They needed another running back. Kerryon Johnson. Okay. Who else we got? Just a second. Here we go. A couple more. Todd Harris says Niners signed Dre Kirkpatrick. Thoughts? Is he a starter for this team over the rookies next? No. Depth. He was around. He's old. He's one of these dollar bin Goodwin signings, Goodwill signings that they got. Dre Kirkpatrick. No, he better not play. John Hawk says, at what point does Kyle's arrogance and bad judgment catch up to him? And if this team stumbles this season, is his seat warming up? If he needs to make the playoffs. And I think what's interesting is what happens if they lose a few games? Do they stick with Jimmy? Does the team get split over which quarterback should start? They'll be fine as long as they keep winning. But what happens if Jimmy struggles for a few games? I'm curious to see what happens if the Niners have a crisis moment.
Iggy, I'd like to actually come back to this question because it's
sure.
John Hawk has really put in some very interesting things. He starts with the premise that Kyle is arrogant and has bad judgment. I've never met Kyle, but I think he's arrogant.
Yeah,
I do. I think he's arrogant beyond his achievements.
Yes. He acts like he won both those Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think we've seen bad judgment in the way he lets leads go away in the fourth quarter, in the way he hasn't prepared himself at cornerback, in the way he presents himself to the media.
Yes.
That's arrogant and it's a mistake. So I don't know what to make of it at this time. But John, thank you for pointing that out. And I agree that those are two ingredients of his personality.
Absolutely. Yes. Yep. Does Kyle still think he's a play away from the bowl? I don't know what he thinks, Dad.
Maybe he's a play away from the cereal bowl.
Yeah. The toilet bowl. All right.
Oh, Jesus.
Joshua says Wayne Gallman is looking pretty sweet right about now. I'm just glad we kept Jalen Hurd. He's going to help a lot. Yeah. The Niners have this Jalen Hurd in their team. They could use another running back or another cornerback, but no, they have Jalen Hurd, who's always hurt. That's the thing. Anyway,
change his name to Jalen
Hurts. Well, they already is. There is a Jalen Hurts. The Niners are facing him. He could be Jalen Hurts.
That's what I'm saying. You don't need the S.
Yeah. Irfin says reaction to this Niners signing Kerryon Johnson, the practice squad. He shouldn't play. He's a practice squad guy. They have other running backs who are better. He shouldn't play. Hold on. Depth at D-line. Is it time to look at making a move trade for a corner? So hard to get a corner at this time of year. But I think it was time to get a corner like 6 months ago. What do you think, Dad?
That's the point.
That's the problem.
They had a window and we don't need it. We're
good.
Okay. We don't need it.
We believe in Jason Verrett.
I believe in Jason Verrett, except when he's not Jason Verrett.
Right. Yeah, which is what he is now. Justin says, with Lance working on the scout team to copy Hurts, how will the pass rush do this week? I just want to see if the Niners can keep Hurts in the freaking pocket. Because to me, Eric Armstead is the worst at that in the league as a defensive end. If I were an offensive coordinator going against the Niners, I would just tell him, look, just wait. Eric Armstead can't keep you in the pocket. Just get outside as much as you want, roll right, and tear this defense apart. So I just want to see, can Eric Armstead keep Jalen Hurts in the freaking pocket? Armstead, talking to you. Because it's good. I mean, rolling right gets you away from Nick Bosa, and it gets you out in space. It's all good once you break the pocket out to the right. And Armstead is just basically opens the door for you. Couldn't care less.
Don't ever say get you out in space again.
Out in space. I like that. In football, there's always binaries that are weird, like in space or in a phone booth. There's the only two places you can be on a football field. You're either in space or in a phone booth. I love that. It's so funny. Football coaches and their use of the English language is so strange.
Yeah. They ought to do
strange.
Like the whole vocabulary list. In space, I think they're like running around Neptune or Uranus.
With no gravity, just kind of floating around.
Right.
Right. And once they get back into the gravitational pull of Earth, they're in a phone booth and you're stuck in something that actually doesn't exist anymore. When was the last time you saw a phone booth?
I used to love a phone booth.
Yeah. A lot of Superman did. Domain Threat said, not sure if you talked about it already, but given how important Mostert is when it comes to family, I'm sure the way fans come at his wife is an issue. Oh, yeah. The thing with Mostert is fantasy football is a big deal. And running backs, tight ends, wide receivers, people draft these guys and there's money riding on it. And when people get hurt, fans say the dumbest things. They go on social media and yell at people like, my fantasy team is ruined. So I guess his wife went on social media and like did a whole thing like this is uncalled for, and you're really distressing our family. And Raheem Mostert wants to play and all this stuff. So I don't know, but it seems like that is an aspect of things that football players have to deal with. The angry fantasy football fan.
Well, it sounds like his wife is a very nice lady.
Yeah, they're a very nice family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry he has to deal with that. Is there anything else? Yes. Carlos says, Grant, I got into a heated debate with you on Twitter in your Twitter comment section with someone. Long story short, after the Lions game, they see Jimmy as a god. Why, Grant? Why? It's the same Jimmy. Look, Jimmy is very likable. He's doesn't have a big ego. There's a lot of things to like about him, and he's gone through a lot. So I think when he plays pretty well, there's a lot of people that want to give him props. I think that's pretty much it.
But no one sees him as a god. They
No.
see him as a nice guy and a pretty good quarterback. There is
Yeah.
no one who sees him as Brett Favre. I don't believe that.
Yeah. And I think people like his story. Like they gave up on you. You
Yeah.
know, let's see you fight back, Jimmy. And so far he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spider Niner says, does the poor development of Lance compound Kyle's hot seat if they also have a poor season?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Because it would make him look like he didn't know what the heck he was doing with his quarterback position and with drafting his quarterback. Yes, I think if they have a poor season, a lot of things come into question. And I think the primary question is, what was he doing at quarterback with this loaded team? But again, they may win the Super Bowl with these guys.
Yeah. But again, like, let's say they don't. Let's say they have a modestly good season, win 10, 11 games with Jimmy, go to the playoffs, lose their first playoff game. Where do they stand next year? Do you just get rid of Jimmy and bring in Trey Lance? Because the reason not to play Trey Lance this year was he hasn't played football in a year. He's not ready, and this team is good. Well, next year it'll be, we haven't played football in 2 years, and this team is good. It seems to me that the longer you wait to actually start developing him, the harder it is to get him on the field.
Now, remember, he did have certain plays in the first game.
He did.
He threw a touchdown pass.
He did.
And what I'm expecting is we'll see more and more of him. Okay. And I think the Niners are lucky in that Jimmy seems to have a live and let live personality.
True.
And as they bring in the rookie more and more, I don't think they're going to get that kind of blowback from him like you'd get from a snot nose like Aaron Rodgers.
No, I don't think the blowback will come from Jimmy. I think it'll come from his friends on the team.
Okay.
You know, I think they're winning. They're 1-0, so there's no problem. But I'm curious to see what happens if they were to lose this week, because you have certain guys on the offense that are very supportive of Jimmy and kind of underhanded with Trey. For example, George Kittle. When asked about Jimmy, he's going to have a great year. When asked about Trey, he's a very impressive 21-year-old. Then you have guys like Deebo Samuel after the game who's asked about Jimmy Garoppolo's touchdown pass to him, and Deebo's very backhanded and says, well, you know, wasn't a great throw, but it's my job to make plays. So I'm curious to see what happens if things.
He said it's my job to make the quarterback look good.
That's right. Wasn't a great throw.
Didn't look good.
That's right. So I wonder, like, are the wide receivers in it with Trey and the tight ends in it with Jimmy? What is going on here? But these issues won't. If they go 5-0, everyone will be in with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter yet.
Iggy, Could I say something about Aaron Rodgers? Because he sort of drives me crazy. And the point is, he's a local guy. It's a local story.
Yes.
He was all off season. Is he going to come back? Is he not going to come back to Green Bay? Like, who gives a crap? But is he going to come back? And he was into that. Is he going to be a talk show host? You know, right?
Right.
On Jeopardy. I mean, all of this stuff. And he was loving it. Here's what I want to say. Be a goddamn quarterback.
Yeah.
That's your job. You're getting paid a lot of money to be a quarterback. You're not getting money to be the coach or to have input. Who cares about your input? They got specialists to be the general manager. I mean, this is Green Bay. They have good people up there. Just keep your mouth shut, do your job, and be a good quarterback. Because, you know, son, last Sunday, you weren't a good quarterback. Now you just got to be quiet and go about your job. If not, they'll get rid of you, and you'll deserve it. I don't like how he's been acting.
I don't like it either. He complained all offseason, wanted off the team, didn't follow through. They wouldn't get rid of him. And now it looks like he's almost tanking it. Like, I don't want to be here. His entire body language was, I don't want to be here. I'm disinterested. It's like, he is the black cloud hanging over that organization right now. He's the worst thing going on in that organization right now. He's not the worst player, but he's bringing the whole organization down.
I totally agree. Now, look, I have no knowledge if he's tanking it, and I would let me say
I'm not accusing him.
Yeah,
just
good.
saying it like his body language looked all off.
I didn't see any of the game, but his body language looked bad.
Yeah, every time there was a bad play, he'd make this look like, why am I here? Why am I here? And so how can you fight for a guy like that?
That's right. And my interpretation, again, I didn't see him, is he didn't prepare himself.
Right.
I mean, you need to prepare yourself mentally as well as physically. He was floating around.
Yeah,
and he
all offseason.
Yeah. And so how well prepared is he? He's exactly – now, at Cal, he seemed like a good guy. He may be a very good guy if I got to know him, which I won't. But how can you act like that? He's exactly the kind of athlete that makes me want to puke. That's how I feel about him.
Right. Fair. Fair. Random question, but if you guys could pick one player in their prime from the 2012 squad to add onto the roster now, who would it be?
Hold on a second. Who was the coach?
Jim Harbaugh.
I'd add him. I'd get rid of this guy, and I'd add Jim Harbaugh.
I like that. Who else? Alden Smith would be very helpful. Justin Smith would be very helpful right now. Justin Smith. How about Justin Smith? Justin Smith.
I love
Joe Staley.
Really?
They could do better with Joe Staley than Mike McGlinchey. Good question. Jimmy Gutierrez says, Grant, did you get your pops that bottle of wine? No, this week. I also have to go over and help him with something on his computer. So I will pay up and we'll take a picture and we will document the whole experience. Steven says, spoke to some Eagles fans and they don't think their O-line could fight back against the Niners secondary. Thoughts on signing Garyon Conley? Man, Garyon Conley, at least he's young, was a first-round pick. I don't know. But they don't think their O-line could fight back against the Niners secondary. I don't know. That's a strange one.
Does the secondary attack the O-line?
I don't think so. Not as far as I know. Tony says, he's a new member. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it. Trey says, can we put some of the blame on the organization? When a player doesn't want to play for them, let them walk. We have the same situation with Watson. Who's Watson?
You know, the guy in Texas.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
It's very complicated. You know what I would do? Maybe you can't just let him walk, but you could sit him on the bench.
Yeah.
I think if Aaron Rodgers screws the pooch in the first half, I'd sit him on the bench and play the other guy and let him look.
Yeah. How's it feel, Aaron? You like this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now sit there and let the camera pan to you a million times and you get that pouty face.
You sour pickle puss.
Was that a pass to Debo or a prayer or skill?
It was luck.
Tough. It was a tough throw. Debo didn't give him credit. He got crushed. He took a hit. It was a long throw. It got there. He gave Debo a chance. Remember, our coach friend years ago said, not every completion in the NFL is a perfect throw, and you don't have to make perfect throws. You got to give your guys a chance. This
is what our friend said. He said there are more good catches than good throws.
Thank you. So, Debo, you made a good catch. Good. That's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Who's the next Niner starter to go down for the year? Seriously, though, did you see the video clip of Whitner and Staley talking about the injuries? No, I didn't. I'm going to have to watch that. Apparently, they were talking about how they didn't have injuries during the Harbaugh year, at least during camp. And I haven't seen that, but I have to see what they said. Anyway, I'm not going to predict. I don't like predicting injuries. It's not a nice thing to do.
That's right. Because, again, we don't root for these guys, but we don't root against them. And as human beings, we don't want people to suffer or be hurt.
No, I don't want to put that out there. I think this person is going to have a season.
You see, now that's wisdom there. You get
right.
Wisdom.
Now, with all offseason, we said, Jason Verrett, injury prone, might want to be smart there, but we weren't saying Jason Verrett's going to get hurt week 1.
Or we want him to get hurt.
No. Well, Dad, that's our show for the week. I thought it was a really good one.
Well, I think we were very well prepared today. And I do like looking ahead.
Me too.
Enough looking behind. We look ahead. I like
what we do most weeks. I mean, as long as the Niners are in it, last year they fell apart quickly, but this year, the next game should always be very interesting.
I love you, son.
I love you too, Dad. I'll call you in a minute.
Yes, because I got something to talk to you about. Hey, goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this, and I enjoy your participation.
Thanks, everyone. See it in a couple hours with Jack.